Welcome to Cafe Stories. Tonight, we travel back to Oxford, December 1932. Inside the study of Ashwell College, a celebrated professor lies bed over his groundbreaking manuscript on Elizabethan secrets. Your support means everything to me. If you enjoy these mysteries, please consider subscribing to the channel. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Reading them always brings me joy and encouragement. Now, pour yourself a warm cup of coffee, settle in, and let's dive into tonight's mystery. Murder at Ashwell College. Chapter 1. An Invitation to Oxford. It was a brisk December morning when the letter arrived at our flat in Whitehaven Mansions. I was sorting through the day's post when an envelope of unusually fine quality caught my eye. Thick cream paper embossed with a crest that suggested wealth and tradition. "I say, Poirot," I called to my friend, who was arranging his newspapers with trademark precision. "There's a rather distinguished letter here, addressed to you." Poirot's green eyes fixed upon the envelope as he tilted his egg-shaped head. "Ah, mon ami, and what makes this letter so remarkable, if you please?" "It's from Lady Margaret Winthrop, the philanthropist. Very grand indeed." His eyebrows lifted with interest. He set aside his papers and approached with that deliberate, precise gait of his, extending a perfectly manicured hand for the letter. Breaking the seal with his ivory paper knife, he would never dream of tearing an envelope. Poirot read with growing concentration. "How curious," he murmured at last. "Lady Margaret requests the honor of our presence at Ashwell College, Oxford, for what she calls a most significant literary occasion. A Professor Edwin Selby intends to reveal a manuscript of great historical weight." "Oxford," I said eagerly. "I haven't been back in years. Rather pleasant in winter, don't you think? But surely, Poirot, this invitation is for you alone." Poirot's lips curved into his familiar, knowing smile. "No, Hastings. Lady Margaret has been quite specific. She writes that she would be delighted if Captain Hastings might accompany me, owing to your supposed literary interests and academic appreciation." I admit I was flattered, though puzzled as to why I had been included. Still, the idea of hearing historical revelations within Oxford's ancient walls carried undeniable charm. "What sort of revelations do you suppose?" I asked. Lady Margaret offers little detail. She mentions only that the professor's research touches upon Elizabethan state secrets with the potential to unsettle certain noble families. There is, however, a strain of unease in her tone, a concealed anxiety beneath the politeness. I found it difficult to imagine that secrets 3 centuries old could alarm anyone in our time. But Poirot's instinct had rarely failed him. "When does this gathering take place?" I asked. "Tomorrow evening at 6. A private reading in the professor's study for a select audience. We shall attend, naturellement." As Poirot penned his reply, I pictured Oxford's mist-shrouded courtyards, the glow of gaslight on ancient stone, and the romance of scholarly conversation. It promised to be a civilized change from our usual entanglements with crime. How little I guessed that within 24 hours we would face a puzzle more deadly than any we had encountered before. Chapter 2. The Gathering Storm. The following evening, our journey to Oxford was pleasant enough, though I noticed Poirot's unusual silence as the train carried us through the winter landscape. By the time our cab deposited us at the gates of Ashwell College, twilight had descended over the spires. The porter led us through cobbled courtyards until we reached Professor Selby's quarters, an austere Tudor building, its study lined floor to ceiling with leather-bound tomes. Lady Margaret Winthrop greeted us warmly, though I detected tension in her eyes. She was a handsome woman in her 50s, silver hair arranged elegantly, her blue silk gown a mark of wealth. Professor Edwin Selby himself was tall and stooped, the scholar's posture of a man long bent over manuscripts. His dark eyes gleamed with intensity, though his manner betrayed nervous energy. "Gentlemen," he said, adjusting his spectacles, "what you hear tonight may well alter the accepted history of our realm." Among the guests were Dr. Julian Cross, a sharp-featured historian with little love for Selby's work, Miss Dorothy Hale, Selby's devoted secretary of 20 years, calm and efficient, and 3 eager graduate students, deferential and silent. Selby hinted at revelations involving noble families and treason at Elizabeth's court. As he spoke, Lady Margaret paled, ripping her glass tightly, while Dr. Cross frowned darkly. At last, Selby moved to his desk. There, an ornate silver inkpot gleamed under lamplight. "A gift from Lady Margaret," he explained with pride. "16th century, most fitting for tonight's work." The atmosphere was taut with expectation. The air seemed thick with secrets straining to break free. Chapter 3. Words of Death. Selby spread his manuscript before him, the inkpot gleaming like a relic. "Ladies and gentlemen, what I reveal tonight is the product of 5 years' research, documents hidden for centuries, now brought to light. They will change how we see certain noble families whose reputations were, perhaps, manufactured." Lady Margaret stiffened. Dr. Cross shifted uneasily. Miss Hale's gray eyes never left her employer. Selby dipped his elegant pen into the inkpot and began annotating his manuscript. "The first matter concerns the Winthrop family's role in the Essex Rebellion. Contrary to official accounts, I have found evidence that—" His words faltered. The pen trembled. His face grew pale. "Professor!" Lady Margaret cried, rising from her seat. Selby gasped, convulsed violently, and collapsed across his desk, scattering his life's work. The inkpot toppled, spilling a dark stain across the pages. Cries rang out. Miss Hale rushed forward. The students froze in fear. Dr. Cross exclaimed, "Good God, a seizure!" But Poirot was already moving. His sharp eyes missed nothing: the inkpot, the scattered notes, the professor's lifeless form. "No one is to touch anything. This room is now a crime scene." And with those words, I knew the scholarly gathering had turned into a deadly mystery. Whatever secrets Selby had uncovered would remain buried unless Poirot's little gray cells could unearth the truth. Chapter